Hello, and welcome to another Interpreter's Reveal. Today, we'll be talking about how to do simultaneous interpreting using Google Meet, and specifically an extension for Google Meet designed specifically for this purpose. So let's be clear from the beginning. This is not a feature that's provided on Google Meet itself. This is an add-on. And for this to work, fundamentally what will happen is that there will be two meetings going on. One, the primary meeting, the floor, and a second meeting that will then be accessed via this extension in Chrome. So it's a little complicated to set up, a little complicated to use. Well, it could be rather complicated for an inexperienced user. And that's one of the downsides to this. And there are a number of other downsides. One of them is that it's unidirectional. You can go from the floor into the interpreting in the parallel session, but only in one direction. So if someone has a question in the interpreted room, they can't ask it back onto the floor. So there are certain limitations with regard to that. You can also only set up one booth at a time. So you can't have a meeting in English and then roll it out into 6 different languages at the same time. You can only do one other language. Bright side, you can have more than one interpreter in that room. So team interpreting is absolutely possible, as is, of course, a best practice anytime you're working in the simultaneous mode. Now, some of the other issues involved in this are, of course, security. Google Meet does not have all of the security features that some of the other, certainly RSI platforms have, or even that Zoom has. So keep that in mind if you're thinking about this as a viable option. Another issue is that you can't turn on the interpreting or turn it off, and the host doesn't assign the interpreters. You log in as an interpreter. So again, it would be easy for a user to make a mistake and end up logging in as an interpreter instead of as just the participant. Now, there are all kinds of other issues as well. For example, anyone who has logged into the main meeting and then joined the second interpreted room meeting can also screen share out of that second interpreted meeting. So you could have someone who could accidentally or on purpose start sharing from the interpreted meeting onto the floor in the main room. This can get very problematic. So again, security issues, access issues, because it's not a 360 solution, it's an add-on. It can be really, really problematic. Another issue is that there's no way to assign the interpreters in advance. And there's also no way to stop the interpreting to turn the function on or off, again, because it's not a function. So the host or any participant, once they've joined that interpreted room, the only way they can get out of it is to leave the meeting and come back in. On the bright side, the interpreters can hear each other via this particular extension. Can't see each other, but they definitely can hear each other. So that's enough of the pros and cons. Let's take a look at how this works. We have our Google Meet meeting open. We have 2 participants in it, remote simul interpreting, who will be our interpreter in just a moment. And well, here's me. Now, what we're going to need to do is actually open up a second meeting. I've now created a second meeting, as we can see. So I'll go ahead and I will copy this link just by clicking on it, and I'll send that to remote simul interpreting. Once that second meeting is up and running, and once the interpreter has joined it, in my control panel in the main meeting, I will see what we have down here in the lower right-hand corner, a set of controls. If I click on this, I can see who's in the second meeting and track that if I need to. But most importantly, I now have my volume controls. So I have my main channel and my interpreting channel. I can use these sliders to increase or to decrease the volume and set the mix that I want to hear. So if I want to track what the interpreters are saying, I can do that, or I can just keep my main channel open. This is the exact same control panel that any participant on the call will see. So they can do this as well. This is actually a very nice little feature that's offered here because it allows people to decide if they want to hear the main channel, the floor, at all, and if so, at what volume. Or they can choose just to listen to the interpretation. They can also switch here the volumes and decide what they are doing. So if I were to mute the main channel here and just listen to the interpretation, when I then click on the arrows, it switches back and forth, and I can make that shift easily. So that's what it looks like from the host perspective. Let's take a look at what it looks like for the interpreter who's logging in. As the interpreter then, I'm going to join the primary meeting, go up to my extensions, click on my extension for remote simultaneous interpreting, and in this case, I'm going to paste the address for the second meeting, but here I am going to select I am an interpreter. I'm going to go ahead then and select Open Interpreting Channel. And when I do that, I now see that an additional button has appeared. I have a microphone that I can turn on and turn off. So I'm now in that second meeting as an interpreter. I'm continuing to see the main screen for the primary meeting, but my secondary is connected just to audio. So I can toggle my microphone on and off, and again, I can adjust the incoming volume for the main channel or for the interpreting channel. That means, for example, that I can actually hear my interpreting partner. So if I'm in a team interpreting situation, two interpreters on the call, I can hear both the floor and my colleague when I'm not working. Again, a very nice little feature. But that's what this panel looks like for the interpreter.